In celebration of International Women's Day, let me share my reflections on being surrounded by all the influential women in my life, from my grandmother, mother, daughter, sister, aunties, nieces, and friends. Welcome once again to another week of the Learning Essentials podcast. I'm Hurley, and in this episode, we'll talk about I am a woman, Babae Ako. Woman, what have you become these days? Have you made yourself visible in person and through the digital sphere? Have you received free access to education and equal employment opportunities? Have you achieved your long struggle for freedom and equity? Have you been treated fairly and protected well, notwithstanding the many counts of gender-based violence, from domestic, sexual, and abuses to indigenous women and girls? Have you been acknowledged for your countless contributions in economics, politics, culture, and social realms? Have you been heard from the many advocacies, platforms, and awareness you have raised? Have you celebrated your event like this International Women's Day claim? Have you or have you not? The month of March marks the celebration of International Women's Day. I refuse to list names of great women in history because I believe that every woman and girl deserves to be on the list. Their stories are of equal footing to who has been named in history, highlighting the best and the most famous when the unnamed have far better stories to tell. There is still a lot to work out. Every woman's story is meaningful and deserves recognition. And I acknowledge the strength and bravery of every woman and girl. While we celebrate this occasion, let's not forget that there are more issues confronting women on a global front, including climate change, which displaces a large number of people around the world, specifically women and children, who are the most vulnerable sectors who primarily suffer. Exploitation, harassment, bullying, and sexual abuse remain rampant, affecting women's and children's conditions and health. Lack of participation in political or economic positions and functions often limits women's chance to showcase their talents and skills. Unequal labor practices violate not only women's rights but also human rights. Let us not stop from here. Our call for justice must be heard, seen, and felt. Let's aim for increased women leadership to have a sustainable future for both women and girls. And let's work on accessible education through technology and digital learning. Seeing more women engage in schools, doing basic to further studies, participating in career development, training, and upgrading, speaking about social issues that matter is a good practice, and I hope to experience by all women continuously. As an educator, I promote learning accessible to all, for I believe that gender empowerment happens when every woman and girl engages in training and opportunity in their community. In celebration of International Women's Day, I acknowledge women in power and the power in women. I thank God for being a woman, and I'm proud to be one. I am a woman, Babae Ako. Happy International Women's Day. Thank you for your continued support of the Learning Essentials podcast. Please don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe.